Welcome, everybody, to the Carver Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. We'll get right to our agenda. The first item under discussion and business is an update on the Gate Street spill.
Okay. Teagan Bond came up with an immediate action response plan. If anyone wants to see it, it's in the office.
Is that just for Gate Street?
Yes, it's for the spill. Approximately, they figured out about 40 gallons of product was spilled from the truck tip over. The soil has been removed from where the truck tipped over. They put booms out. They've been replacing them. They skim the water. So right now, at this point, they're just doing soil samples randomly around where they think the product could have traveled on the water, and when they get clean samples, they'll sign off on it. So that's where it stands right now.
And the spill was diesel fuel?
Diesel fuel, hydraulic fuel, and motor oil.
Hydraulic oil and motor oil.
Yeah.
Okay.
So other than that, it's pretty simple.
And it produced that book.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, how many pages is that book?
A lot. That's why I had to ask
I know.
the question.
It's like,
can you imagine if it was like, a real spill?
They don't number it?
They don't number it. It's
Okay.
like 1 of 24, and the middle's 1 of 50, 50, blah, blah. I'd
Okay.
say a good 250 pages.
wow. Okay. Well, good.
Always right.
That's a little overkill, but okay. I guess they have to do it. That's fine. Do you want anybody else want to look at it? All right.
They
Okay.
get paid by the pound?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
By the ream.
God. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is the certificate of compliance for 40 South Main Street. For full disclosure, this property is owned by my brother-in-law and sister-in-law who just walked in, the Hovnanians. And I'm going to abstain from voting on this COC for that reason. So.
Okay. What it is they filed for a full COC, and it was basically they replaced an existing home, followed the same footprint with a one-story dwelling, and they added a screen porch and a deck. Those were both in the 65-foot. Myself went out, Savory went out, and Mr. Lake went out, and we observed it. The site's stable. Everything looks like it was built according to plan, and that's about it. Pretty straightforward.
Right. You have any questions? You were there? No?
Everything fine.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the COC for 40 South Main Street, DEP file SE 126489. That's it?
That's all it is, yeah.
Second.
Second. Second by Mr. Lake. All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the certificate of compliance for 40 South Main Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One abstention. It's approved 3-0 to 1.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
It'll be ready tomorrow. You can come pick it up down in my office this afternoon.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll do the minutes after.
I'm not complaining, but you used the top line.
Because you're not signing it. You abstained.
I can't sign it anyway?
Well, you should sign it last.
No, I abstain.
I used the top line because you abstained.
Okay.
Now you're signing to codify the vote. That's fine. But when you abstain, you can't have the top line.
Oh, I see. Is that a backroom bylaw?
Yeah, that's in
Okay.
page 72. Wait a minute, it's in this book.
All right. I didn't get that far. Okay. Minutes, we'll do that afterwards. Next up is 0 Wade Street. It's continued once again to April 19th. I can give you an
Is that ever going to happen?
It is. I can give you an update on that.
That's all right. Let's continue it.
Okay. But we should be able to move on it.
Do we own these buildings? Are they moving them?
They're moving the buildings.
And they'll be moved by,
No, they won't be moved by the next time, but we have a written agreement that they will be moved. We've given them 90 days.
okay.
But it's enough of an agreement to warrant the fact that we can now accept
Okay.
the property.
We have-
So-
We have the order of conditions, the COC. Please. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so
Sir?
we have 3 public hearings for Indian Street. And Gary and Curtis and I were there yesterday morning. We looked at all 3 lots and with the plans. So we will start with these. First up, 20 Indian Street, DEP file number SC126662. It's a notice of intent. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, April 5th, 2023, in Meeting Room Number 1 at the Carver Town Hall, to hear the notice of intent submitted by Absolute Building Consultants for the construction of a single-family dwelling, grading, well, and utilities within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. This project is located at 20 Indian Street, Carver, Massachusetts, map 93, lot 1-4. All interested parties are invited to attend. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you? Let me get the right one here so I can follow along at home. Okay.
All right. I'm Greg Drake from Outback Engineering, representing Absolute Building Consultants. The applicant is proposing to single-family home with septic system, drive, garage, and private well. A portion of the house deck and septic tank and associated grading are within 100-foot buffer of the wetland. We moved the house as close as we could away from the wetland and got it, the setbacks, kept it as tight to the setbacks as we could. And that's why it's located here, and the septic up here. And in this particular project, none of the work is encroaching on the 65-foot. And I open up to any questions you guys may have on this one.
It's going to be a drive under garage, huh? Garage going to be in the basement?
Doesn't
Or
look
no
like there is a
garage.
garage.
No
Doesn't like
garage
there
in
is
this
No
one.
garage?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, there's no garage in this one.
I just wanted to check.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the house had to go there as opposed to, yeah, the side setback, never mind.
Yeah, with the wetland, the side setback, front setback, it really wasn't a lot of,
Really squeezing a lot in there.
Have you been to planning with this?
planning.
Oh, they don't have to see that. Oh, that's right. Never mind. What is the, what's the footprint of the house? It looks like it's a square. Do you know what the,
Yeah, I don't know the exact square footage.
it looks like, it almost looks like 32 by 32 if,
Nah, it's
based on
bigger
the
than
deck.
34 across, and the depth is 34 by 34.
Okay.
There's a couple things I'm not crazy about. Not crazy about all that asphalt, even though it's out of the 100. I'm not crazy about half the house being in the 100. It looks like that slopes quite a bit, almost 12 feet on the side of the house,
Over
from
here.
the 89 down to 77.
Yeah, it's a big void there.
Quite a drop off.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
there already. If you look at the ghosted contours that are there right now, there's an area that has been excavated, looks like.
Yeah, looks like a old
Yeah.
gravel pit, yeah.
Yeah, that's very deep. It's dry, but it's deep.
The issue I have is honestly, and we keep trying to shoehorn these houses into these small lots. And what is ultimately going to happen here, and it can't be avoided, is they're going to wind up in that 65. Because that's just, the 65-foot line is literally, can I see a ruler?
Yeah, it's
65-foot line
5
is
feet.
like, is it 5 feet?
6 feet maybe.
It's 20 scale.
It's, you know, on the 65.
Almost, yes.
So I just see eventually, because I assume that this is all part of that whole lot. It's going to get used,
Right.
just
No,
by nature.
Right.
And we keep on doing this.
All right. Well, again, there are, yes, go ahead. I'll go last.
Okay. I know sometimes I'm pretty blunt about my views on some of this. Just looking at what we're set to protect, and seeing how you've gone about trying to fit things in based on, I know you're dealing with setbacks and so forth, but I don't view this as a buildable lot for what you're wanting to have, in terms of, I understand everything that needs to be in place for a house. I get all that, but there's an element where we got to get to a point where some of this stuff is not our problem. We didn't ask to have a house built on a location that now needs our permission to be built on because of how close it is to the wetland line. And not only that, but at some point we're going to have to address the hydrological factors of how close all this building and excavating that is done right up to the wetland line. People, when I know these drawings, and you're only needing to explain to us two-dimensionally, but our concern is three-dimensional in terms of understanding what's happening below as well. And there is no way, and other neighboring neighborhoods have felt the effect of buildings being built in areas that should not be built in, and that hydrological effect causes flooding in other neighborhoods, and that gets ignored far too often. And this is something where we give variances when there are hardships and so forth, but this is something that I don't view as a hardship. I view it as just not a buildable lot, and for that, I'm sorry.
Curtis, anything to add?
No, nothing to add.
All right.
Could I suggest something, just to throw it out there? If they took the septic, twisted it and put it under the driveway, they could pull the house forward, pull it out of the buffer some more. That way, encroaching the 65.
They still have to be 50 feet back from the street, so.
Oh, yeah,
And they're at
they're already 51. All right,
They're at
never mind. I
51,
didn't see
so
the
they-
51.
so-
I
Yeah,
looked
they
at
can't
that.
move
I looked
that.
at doing a switcherooski
Yeah.
too, and there's just not the room.
All right, no, never mind.
What if they proposed a smaller house? Which obviously would move it as close to the,
I just think that we're trying to, and don't get me wrong, I would do the same thing. If I were trying to build, I would have an engineering company and an architect give me as much bang for the buck as I can get out of the land that I'm trying to come up and use, because that's just economics, and I'm fine with that. But I don't, and it's not this house in this lot that disturbs me. What will disturb me is that eventually, we're gonna use a whole bunch of that 65-foot area, and I'm talking 5 years from now when it has nothing more to do with Outback Engineering and nothing more to do with the builder and nothing more to do with anybody except the new owner who decides, you know what, I got all this land over here, what a great place for a swing set and everything else. And who's gonna ride down the street and say, no, you can't do that? No one. So, I don't know. And wetlands are a huge issue in Carver. I've got it in my side yard. Some of it is man-made, thanks to the town. Others is legit. and I've been dealing with it for years, and I hate it too. I'd love to put up a brand-new garage, but I know I can't. Do you know what I'm saying? Because of what I've got. And this is, I just think we're trying to shoehorn stuff, and I'm not opposed to this particular project. I know that you got 20, 22, and the other.
26, yeah.
26. Isn't one of those also where we did some replication of wetlands and
Well, that's where I was going
to make that work?
that's where I was going to go with this.
Yeah, you know, we did that over there and to accommodate, and I think I just think we're asking for a lot with these lots, that's all, and that's my only take. It doesn't need a variance, but it does need approval, and you know.
Right, but basically what we try to do in every case that we have is we sort of have an unwritten guideline that we don't like more than 50% of a structure in the 100-foot. Primarily because you're generally going to have a corner that, as you do in this one, where the, as Mr. Germain said, you know, that 5 feet between the buffer zone and the corner of the house is going to become 20 feet of open space just through, you know, just through regular living. So, I looked at this plan when we first got it, and we have a similar plan. We had a similar one at 18, right? It was 18.
You did, yeah.
You have on your plan here, in the wetlands, you have 2 tongues. You have a small tongue, which is right by your marker 45. A little spit of wetlands.
Yeah.
Right there. And then you have a larger one that kind of goes from 49 around to 55.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, both of those are what is guiding your 65-foot buffer zone. Your plan doesn't...
45 is the one that really is...
I know, but your plan doesn't show the entire property, so we can't make it we can't offer a suggestion on what you can do down here. But I'm seeing a little bit towards the bottom here that there may be room to fill those 2 tongues in and replicate them due south, down in the lower right-hand corner. Yeah. Now, we are much more...
We didn't really do that.
No, this is guiding this. If this...
But that's not hurting them. This is the one that's hurting them.
I know.
Well, you're talking the overall 100 too. Never mind, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, but if you were to... Let me come up and show you what I'm thinking. And I think you have room for it. And one of the things that I will say is that we generally are
see a
very
room again, would you?
lenient in...
What's this?
Yeah, we say 20's the scale.
allowing
Yeah.
wells within the 65 feet, because our feeling is basically once the well's in the ground, unless something terrible goes wrong, you're not going to touch it. So if you were able to kind of go right across here and replicate this same square footage down in this area, I don't know what you have further on, because your property lines extend, I don't know where they meet, I don't know if they go all the way down.
Yeah, they go quite a ways, actually.
Okay, so, you know, if you could get rid of this and get rid of even maybe right here, that's going to move these down. So, what you could do then is, I think that this line would probably be somewhere around here, and this line would probably...
It's going to pick up 20 feet off the 65.
Right. So that, you know, leaving the house
It's going
where
to
it
give him
is,
25 feet
these
off
lines
the
would
corner of
move.
that house.
And if he makes the house not as
So
deep,
I would
that would add a few.
try to
feet
fool around with this and see what you can,
But we got
what
to
you
see
can
what's
do
down
to
the
change
bottom that you
these
can replicate.
lines
Exactly.
by
But if you were to go way
replicating
down here with
down
it, you'd be
here.
fine.
I wouldn't worry about the
I think so,
65
too.
around the well. All right?
Yeah, okay.
Because I think that's probably the best way to do it, is moving the
Just to
wetlands as
swing that
opposed
out.
to trying to move a house that's...
Well, that's what we did on 18.
Yeah.
You replicated some wetlands in order to be able to build the house and get the bulk of that house out
Yeah,
of
it
the
was
I was
65.
going to say they're under construction now.
I think Grady did that, not you.
Saber, if I'm
Yeah,
reading
that was
what you were
somebody else,
talking about, so taking like, so this is a
if
triangle,
they
you're
can make
basically
the house a
taking some
little
of
bit
this
smaller.
and putting it there.
Yeah, I would
No, I'm
suggest
not.
that.
Oh,
too.
you're not?
I'm taking this,
Oh,
this wetland,
yeah.
and this wetland, and moving it down here. And that's gonna now put the 65-foot probably at an arc like this, and 100-foot at the same. So it's gonna move the 100-foot, it's gonna move a lot of the house outside the 100.
It's going to also.
Does that
back
affect
to
the track
65.
that they're gonna need access to the well?
Well, that's upland.
Our precedent has been giving permission to place a wellhead within the 65, because once it's in the ground, it doesn't get, it's not something that gets everyday use.
But he could move that well up 15 feet. It's 165 feet.
You know, you could,
So the well can go up another 15 feet, so it wouldn't even be infringing that much, if it was infringing at all.
That's what I'm.
right, we'll leave that to you. What we'd like to do is see as much of the house that can be out of the 100-foot as possible. And, you know, by taking some of these wetlands and replicating them somewhere else on the property, I think you can accomplish that and move both the 65 and 100-foot buffer zone so that most of the house is
Out of the,
outside it.
And it would also back off your 65-foot no-touch, and, because that's what will happen. The gradient only, it goes from 80 feet down to 79 feet, so it's a pretty, it's not a terrible slope. So they'll end up using some of that 65-foot upland area. That's just human nature. It's not like it drops off into a ravine. So this just helps everybody, and it makes this commission, I think, feel much better about moving it back, so that we're not putting so much of the house in the 100, and we're more than 5 feet off the 65-foot line. And it's really no big deal to replicate the wetlands. That's pretty easy. We're not asking for 2 for 1 or something like that. It'd just be a 1 for 1.
Right.
1 to 1, yeah.
1 to 1.
One-for-one
You
replication.
know, some places will sit back and they want, 2 for 1, 5 for 1. We're not even
Yeah,
asking
yeah.
that. It'll kick that line back. And that makes it a little bit easier for us to feel good about saying, yeah, okay, go ahead. And I'm usually the easiest guy on the board. I'm even shocked that I'm saying this tonight, but I just think we're getting more and more and more of this shoehorn stuff because we're running out of big lots to build on. So we're trying to get creative.
okay.
So,
So I can go back to the client and say, if you want to build on the lot, you need to replicate some wetlands and move the
I
buffers.
think that's the best.
But if you want to go with what you got, the commission will most likely.
You can tell them we're not
Deny.
crazy about it. We can't tell you how we vote.
I think that,
You understand, but you're not.
We're
happy
trying to
with-
find a way to
not
make
happy
it
with
work for everybody without anybody having to jump through a hoop.
I think we've offered a solution that will cost them a little bit more money, but will satisfy
Yeah.
the 4 of us here. Whereas the way it is right now is
And Dave too, when he comes back.
well, pretty much sets a precedent that we've been avoiding pretty successfully.
Yeah.
So, I would go back and see what you can do with replicating those wetlands in a different area. Don't worry about keeping the wellhead out of the 65, but if you can move that to do the same, that would be great too.
Yeah, the worst that'll happen is we'll grant you a variance, which is something we've done quite a bit.
Yes, for wells, we've done
That has
that.
precedent setting, so.
Yeah.
But the well could actually go back, if it's feasible to go back 15 feet, then that could very well come out of wouldn't be in the 65 anyway. And
Right.
if it does, I don't think that's a big deal.
Right. And I'd like to see on the plans the full
full
extent of the
lot.
property of the lot.
Oh, okay.
So what's down the bottom, because that makes
Yeah.
it difficult for us to say, well, you can replicate this, because we don't really
Yeah, with
know
all
what's.
the
Well,
details and stuff.
You're gonna have to add a second sheet anyway for the replication
For
area.
the
so you can
replication,
just-
so we can show the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
that'd be
that'd be no
fine.
problem.
All right, so in that case, for this one, we will continue it.
Make a motion to continue 20 Indian Street to,
Our next meeting is May,
well, it's the 16th, but
the 19th.
April 19th.
April 19th. Can you,
you want the 19th, you want the first one in May?
Uh,
well, let's do the other 2 first.
Okay.
I think he just
Say
told you we're
April-
continuing.
Not to
We can
give
say
you any kind of
April
heads up.
19th now, and if I think it's going to take longer than that, then I can.
Let's do the first week in May.
All right.
So we'll continue
You good with
this.
the first week?
20 Indian Street, DEP file
Third,
SC
May 3rd.
If you can't make it,
126662
just shoot me an email.
to
May 3rd?
No, May
May-
3rd should be no problem.
May 3rd?
All right,
The April 19th is getting the drawings ready so that they can be
okay.
done.
All right, so we have a
Him
motion.
make a decision, too.
We have a motion, Mr. Jermaine made the motion to continue to May 3rd, seconded by Mr. Badger. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing any opposed, hearing none, that's approved. The continuation is approved unanimously. All right, next up, 22 Indian Street, DEP file SC 126663. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL. I'm sorry, before we, is there anybody here who wants to say anything about the hearing that we just did?
No, I'm the realtor that represents ADGA, so I'm just here to observe.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure. All right, here we go again. 22 Indian Street, 126663. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw Citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday, April 5th, 2023, in meeting room number 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by Absolute Building Consultants for the construction of a single-family dwelling, grading, well, and utilities within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The project work is also within the 65-foot buffer zone protected under the Carver bylaw and will require a variance from the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw. This project is located at 22 Indian Street, Carver, map 93, lot 1-5. All interested parties are invited to attend. Okay, so now we are on 22.
This one doesn't give you that luxury. So the corner of the garage is 4 feet off the 65.
Right.
You got a large chunk of the house too, within the 100, right?
Well, less than half, but the garage, the entire garage is in the 100. You got a paved driveway, some of that's in the 100. And again, we go back to that back corner is 4 feet off the wetlands, and that grade's pretty consistent, so we got another whole corner of the backyard that will get used. And there's no place to replicate anything here, so this is what it is. He's 55 feet from the street, or 57 at that corner, but 55 on the house and 31 from the side. There is no place to go with this building.
Well, again, we're not seeing the entire lot, so,
Well, what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna move this to?
well, no, I understand that. I know, but still,
It's not like there's a little jut out somewhere.
I know. But if there was room to replicate just a corner, like across here, that would move these lines in appropriately. The other thing I was thinking about when looking at these plans is
And this well is in the 65.
Yes.
It's well within the 65. Why is it so far back in the 265?
I think the engineer who designed it was concerned that he didn't know what was going on in Lot 6 and wanted to make sure it was as far back to allow the septic system in Lot 6. I mean, it is quite a ways back.
I'd like that moved to the 150-foot mark. I don't care what's going on with Lot 6. That's an awful lot of 65 infringement for a well. When we only need 150 to satisfy the septic system setback.
I was gonna say, I've already made my point clear on that issue, so, yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I don't mind variances for wells, but, you know, not a quarter of a mile into the wetlands.
You could move it up almost 100 feet.
Sure. Would you still put it, may I have that again? Would still put it in the 65, but not by much. Well, you can do that if
We'll let it be known whenever the window opens for the fight to re-engage in this issue. I hate wells being in the 65. I got a huge problem with it. We're going to be dealing with this as a problem in our community down the road in terms of cross-contamination of aquifer. It's a problem.
How so?
Well, just simply put, anytime you put a straw in the ground, okay, and you're tapping into our aquifer, okay, you're mixing water that is part of other.
But you're not, because you're not getting into the aquifer, you're getting into groundwater. We're not going down deep enough. That's a fallacy.
Well, we have our water table is so close to the surface and this area, the reason why we're able to have well pumps that are at the surface and not ones that are necessarily all the way down.
Everybody has shallow wells.
Yeah, because
You're not in the aquifer.
there isn't as much natural filtration as there are in a lot of other regions. It's a delicate region. That's all. So I'm saying we, to use your word shoehorn, every
I don't
other
disagree that
property
they're shoehorn in the house, but I don't agree with the well concept.
Well,
But we can take 100 feet out of that well. We gotta do something with this
as I said, that window's not open today, but
house.
when it is open, just beware.
If you wanna let them go back and try a Plan B as far as the wetlands, that's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know what's, it's looking to me as though on the eastern side of this drawing, by marker 79 and 80, there's room there to replicate and maybe take, 20 feet parallel to the 100-foot that cuts through the house.
79, way down here?
Just,
79 and 80?
add in here.
Oh, I see.
Add wetlands in here and take it, knock a, the 100-foot kind of goes almost due north, right through the middle of the house.
I'd be more inclined to be okay with the house, just not the garage.
Yeah, lose the garage.
Lose the garage.
And the deck.
Well, the deck could then go on the side,
Yeah, where the garage is, yeah.
Okay.
It looks like this is a walkout basement anyway. It's got, or a bulkhead, is that what that is, a bulkhead?
Looks like a bulkhead.
Or a set
Yeah.
of stairs?
Yep.
I don't like the garage being 5 feet off the 65, unless you can replicate and get that line back like you're trying to do on the other lot.
Right, yeah, the other option would be not to have a garage.
And I'm not crazy about the paved driveway in the 100 either, but
Well,
One-car garage, maybe?
it's still, the entire garage would be within the 100-foot.
yeah, but a one car would get you off that 65-foot line.
True.
So I wouldn't be completely opposed to that compromise. Well, why don't we see what we can do with these wetlands lines first?
Okay.
You have a lot of land here where it's a unique opportunity because you have an opportunity to replicate and get the physical lines moved back, which then eliminates a lot of problems. I don't think you're ever going to get it to where it's out of the 100-foot, but I think you can get it to where, and I'm not even concerned about the 100-foot anywhere near as much as I'm concerned about the building being 5 feet off the 65. Just because it's not a mountain, right? You know what I mean? It's not a gully. It's relatively flat. It'll get used. And I think that's where I have the issue with it.
How about posted signs?
Yeah, that never works. Posted signs are great. We put them up there and then everybody walks right by them and goes.
We have them on the drawing anyways, but
Yeah, and I have no doubt in my mind that, there'll be posted signs and the owner of the property will sit back a couple of years from now and decide, you know what, I pay taxes on this, I'm using this piece of land, and no one's gonna be there to stop them. So it just sets up the future.
I noticed that the septic is 18 feet 9 inches from the street lot line. Is there a minimum there that has to be met?
I think it's 15. I'd have to check on that.
Okay. Because your house is the house is farther back from the 50-foot setback. It's about 5 feet further back than it can be.
There is a little bit of room there, so if
Yeah, so,
I
Right.
can ask the engineer if he could push the whole thing up, that would
That's what I
also
was
help
thinking.
them too.
Forward.
That'll bring it a little bit more out of the.
If
out
you
of
could
the
get
100.
that closer,
Doesn't have to move the septic, you just move the house up 5 feet.
Well, no, it looks like there's a 20-foot
there's
minimum
a, I think
between
there's
the
a buffer
septic and
between the house and the,
So the whole thing would have to, that's why I asked if there was a minimum between the road and the septic.
Well, he's already got 3 feet that he can play with then.
Oh, 3 foot 9 inches. But,
I mean, I think we're splitting hairs there. I think that we should try to do the replication if we can, cut it back to a one-car garage.
nothing's been
And-
built, so I think that, we're just making a drawing, so I
Mhm.
think that from the standpoint, if we can
You gotta
get,
get that well out of there.
if we can get 5 feet more, 4 feet more,
I don't stress over 4 or 5 feet.
well, and we allow a single-car garage, and that's gonna move that point farther away from
Yeah,
that.
it is.
I would look at replicating again, see what you can do, and see what you can do with moving the house up to that 50-foot setback.
And bring the well up to the
Yes.
150,
yeah.
155 foot from the septic. Because that's going to require a variance no matter what you do.
Yep.
You want to try for May 3rd again?
Yeah, put it on the same. Put them all on
All
the
right.
same page.
Anybody else? I'll make that
Anybody
motion.
have any,
I didn't have any further suggestions.
Make a
Okay.
motion to continue 22 Indian Street, DEP file SE 126663 to May 3rd.
do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Lake got it in first. All right, it's been moved and seconded to continue SC 126663 to Wednesday, May 3rd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, approved 4-0.
And last but not least,
Is 26 Indian Street. 26 Indian Street, DEP file SE 126664. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, April 5th, 2023, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by Absolute Building Consultants for the construction of a single-family dwelling, grading, well, driveway, and utilities within the 100-foot buffer. The project work is also within the 65-foot buffer zone protected under the Carver bylaw and will require a variance from the Carver Wetlands Protection bylaw. Oh, I see what happened.
yeah, the well,
No, the buffer zone, there's a typo in the agenda. Buffer, the next sentence, it says buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetlands should be after the 100 feet. So, okay. This project is located at 26 Indian Street, Carver, Massachusetts, map 93, lot 1-7. Bless you. All interested parties are invited to attend.
but it still needs a variance for the well.
Yes, it does.
And there is no option on, this wetlands on that map's on the other lot, right? That's not their lot.
Right.
So the entire garage now, as well as some paved driveways in the 100. But the house is not. So I'd say the same thing. I'd like to see a one-car garage, and I'm still not crazy about the paved driveway. But at least we're off the 65, which is, better than being 2 feet off the back corner.
There is a,
There's no place else to go.
yes, there is. They are 41 feet away from the lot line with Lot 6 with the 30-foot setback. They
Yeah.
can move that house 11 feet north.
Yep.
Well, they can also move it north. I mean, they can move it east also. I'm sorry, west. It's 130-foot setback.
Right.
What's the grade here? Why is it set back so far?
It's actually fairly flat out there.
Why can't they bring the whole thing forward, get everything out of the 100?
I'll ask the engineer on that. I'm not sure why it's that pushed back that
Yeah,
far.
I would, I
Because you can
think,
get the entire place out of that 100-foot. And the corner of that two-car garage can be right on the 100-foot, and then we have no interaction, other than we got to give you a variance for a well.
Actually, if they could move it all forward, the well's only,
I was gonna say, they could
Well,
probably,
you
the
could
well-
probably
the
pull
well
the
can
well
move
out of the
well's not even
65.
20 feet into the 65, so.
So if you push the whole thing
Push everything to the
Yeah.
west.
forward and move it a
west,
little
a
that
little
way
bit
as well.
west, a little bit
Yeah.
north.
west and a little north.
Yeah,
And
you've
you
got
can
a
get
box
most
there.
of it,
You'll render it
You
out
get
of
it all of it.
You'll render it out of our jurisdiction.
Yeah, you're 134 feet from
it
the
could be,
front
he might
property
be
line.
just some grading or something over here.
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah, we'd still have to do that. We'd
Yeah.
probably still have to do
That's
the
true.
well if it's in
Well,
the 100.
let's see what we come up with, though.
Yeah,
So,
We'd okay, well, the well would just be an okay, it wouldn't be
Yeah,
a variance.
an okey-dokey.
But the rest of the house and everything else, including the garage, we would have no purview on. We'd have no control over. If you
Right.
could put the corner of that garage at the 100-foot mark and take the asphalt driveway out of that 100-foot interference and bring the well up out of the 65, but in the 100, then all you need from us is an okay for the well and nothing else.
right.
The rest of the whole house is out of our jurisdiction. Saves you a whole lot of aggravation.
Right.
yes.
I mean, it's nice to have it sit this far back, it's a wonderful location to have it in, but when you've got this kind of room, I'd feel a little bit better about giving some give on these other lots if you work with us on this one.
Your test pits are all similar, so it shouldn't screw up the pitches for the septic system or anything, so.
Yeah, that's probably why, particularly it's in that, if these other ones are similar, then they'd probably be fine with the Board of Health, you know,
Right.
so.
What do you think, Mr. Chairman?
I agree. I mean, this one, there's room. The whole block, septic, house, garage and driveway can move, quite a bit west and 10 feet north. 25 feet west and 10 feet north.
Yeah?
And
Yeah.
that gets most of the garage out of the 100-foot, if not all of it. Gets the pavement out of it, and it gets,
Turn it a little bit.
And it gives them nice setback from the road still.
still, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. All right. All right?
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Yeah, let me run it back and see what the
Okay.
engineer.
May 3rd?
Yeah, put them all on the same time, so we
Okay.
can come back and do it again.
Motion to continue, 26 Indian Street, DEP file SE 126664 to May 3rd.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lake. All right, it's been moved and seconded to continue SE 126664, 26 Indian Street, to Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved unanimously.
Look how easy that was.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want all these?
Oh, please, yeah. You're a celebrity, you're the only one that had to sign in.
Yeah, I know. Slow night, huh?
Oh, no, you're it.
Mass Trail grant funding that's on the minutes, did they get that? Did they get that grant, do you know? Oh, yeah, we heard it.
Haven't heard yet.
When did we meet, last week? Or was it 2 weeks ago?
For the trails,
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
okay. All right.
And then we had our Saturday fun.
Yeah, our rainy Saturday in the,
Motion to approve the minutes of March 1st, 2023 as written.
second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Badger seconded. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for the March 1st, 2023 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. It's approved 4-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn for the evening. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Very good, 44 minutes. We're out. Thank you, Area 58.